Hello. How are you doing? Welcome to the stream.
Much better voice now. Hello, welcome. How are you doing? Sorry for the delay today, but yeah, I had plenty of things to do. So yeah, but here we are. I hope that you had a fantastic weekend and start of the week, and hopefully you are ready to do some nice drawing or painting at the same time that I do, while we just talk about something that hopefully is interesting for everybody. All right, let's see. Here we are. Let's continue with our imperial Inquisitor. So just to reiterate, he's supposed to be a Puritan, a witch hunter. He's old, pretty old. He wouldn't be able to hang around and fighting and being on the field if it wasn't because he's wearing this power armor. He's supposed to be mad or close to be mad because of his fanatism. He sees heretics and witches everywhere. And yeah, let's see how we take it from here. Let's put our cozy chimney and lead up the fire. There it is. Ah, so relaxing. If you hear some orcs or trolls or ogres noises around here, is because of dogs. Not only I have my dog around, but also some friends as well, a mastiff, and they are pretty noisy. So so just you are what's the word in English? My goodness, sometimes it takes me some minutes for me to adjust my brain with English once I start the stream. You are notified. Would it be that the word? No, don't think so. Well, doesn't matter. Let's go. Yeah. Okay. You remember I kind of redo the pose. Sorry. I wasn't happy at all with how he looked before, and now I'm pretty happy. That's how he looked before, and I didn't like it. Also, if you can see the the values are not there. I was clearly not focused and not on the right mindset. But here we are, way, way, way better. And yeah. Jason, hello. Su trabajo es increíble. Muchas gracias. Y bienvenido al stream. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing? I think that is the first time I see you around. If unless I have a bad memory, but either way, welcome. All right. Also, I must not forget to record the whole process. All right. Luther, thanks for the like. Also, I remember I changed this part here thanks to your feedback. Um, um, uh, oh my goodness! You see, the thing with English and just jumping to the stream like this, I definitely need some time to readjust from G-Zone, yes, I have been following you on Instagram for a long time, but I hadn't seen you live streams. All right, well, thanks for the support and welcome once again to the stream. Very happy to see you around. Since you are new, just to let you know that the main reason why I started to do this live stream was to like a proper medium or forum for the most part to talk to you and to answer questions that I get bombarded on social media, and I barely have the time to answer. So this is like the perfect kind of once again medium to spend some quality time answering and talking about subjects and that you might think interesting or questions, etc., etc. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Right? Juan Toledano, buenas noches. Welcome, the one and only Juan Toledano. How are you? Jason, I saw that you speak Spanish, and that seems great to me. I hope one day you can do a stream in Spanish. How is that? Are you from Spain or from any Spanish-speaking land, country? Just curious. ¿De dónde eres? Cuéntame. And yes, making a stream in Spanish, it would definitely be nice, and I would for sure enjoy it for obvious reasons, right? Since I'm I struggle with my English, so it will be fantastic. But it wouldn't be fair for plenty of people that join the streams and they don't speak or understand Spanish. So that is why I decided to do the streams in English instead, because there is a wider audience that that can understand and speak English. So yeah, but yeah, would be lovely. Me encantaría. And on that note, for those of you that are Spanish speaking or understand Spanish, if you are interested in Warhammer 40,000, I was on the latest episode on the Warhammer 40k podcast in Spanish, La Voz de Horus, on the latest episode. talking, of course, about how to illustrate Space Marines. So yeah, if you are interested, go and check it out. It's a pretty cool episode. It's not only me, also with Angel. What's his name? Last name, sorry. I feel terrible because I should definitely know. Angel. Let me see. Angel Giraldez. Yeah, there you go. Sorry, my absolute bad. So he talks also about painting Space Marines, but miniatures. So yeah, it's a pretty cool episode. And on that note, who that is on the stream has seen the second episode of my tutorial in YouTube about how to paint and draw Space Marines? Who has it, and what do you think? If you have any constructive feedback for future videos or tutorials, I will be more than happy to know what you think. For instance, it was being brought up on this podcast of La Voz de Horus, if there was a way in this series of tutorials where I teach how to illustrate Space Marines in Terminator armor, which I don't. So perhaps that could be in the far future, because yeah, in the far future, it could be a good topic for another tutorial on the same tone. But yeah, far future, because as for those of you that are following me, I kind of almost got burned out from making this series of tutorials. It was too much work. But yeah, so perhaps it would be nice to hear your thoughts about the tutorial, and if that also could be an interesting topic for another video. Andrea, hey, hello, how are you doing? Welcome. Hello, how are you? Well, the Instagram post about the Alpha Legion is amazing. Thanks. Happy that you liked it. And to be frank and completely honest, that illustration, I really enjoyed doing it. Yeah, it was pretty fun, and I'm pretty happy with the results. But yeah, really happy that you liked it. Thank you. Vinoto, hi there. Just loving your first episode on how to paint Space Marines. Is perfect for study. Well, fantastic. Makes me very happy to hear. After such a I keep saying it, but seriously, it's like a little bit cathartic for me to say now after the fact. After such a long time and big effort doing it, it feels great to hear things like that. So, of course, if you want to say that it's fantastic and not just constructive feedback, I'm more than happy to hear that. So, and from what you say, Binotto, so I take that you haven't seen the second episode then. All right, I think at this point it's time to do something with a big sword. Let's see. There it is, the big sword to kill heretics and cleanse witches. But it is not just a common sword, but a gigantic chainsword. Sorry. Gizon, I'm from Venezuela. Hombre, qué fantástico, fantástico. Me encanta tener gente de Latinoamérica. Me encanta. Bienvenido, una vez más. Juan Toledano, Giraldez, yes, of course, man. You are such a beast. Nothing escapes you, Juan. You are like Sherlock Holmes. Andrea, oh yeah, I really like the second episode since I just can't draw an apple without some sort of construction. Well, you know that's a very common thing, and to be able to do some basic construction of anything when drawing, it's a pretty common thing. So I do the same for things that I'm not comfortable with. But yeah, I think as I mentioned on the tutorial, I think the biggest challenge when trying to represent the power armor of a space marine is to understand really the construction of the volumes in 3D. So, on that note, the third episode will be released, hopefully, that's my aim, to release it on Friday, this next Friday. And it is going to be about the subject of Space Marine portraits and how to give personality to their faces. And of course, anatomy of the face, etc., etc. Juan, Terminator armor are much worse than shoulder pads of Doom. Well, it's on the same level, I think. I wouldn't underestimate the shoulder pads of Doom, for sure. But yeah, Terminator armor is. The thing is, I haven't spent as much time trying to figure out a way to represent them in a way that makes it's kind of plausible. But it certainly is, and there are plenty of examples of Terminator armor illustrations where it looks plausible as well. I mean, again, from our beloved Paul Dayton illustrations, he has plenty where they look fantastic, and but I haven't done so many, so if I still struggle with normal power armor Space Marines with Terminator, well, ya ni te digo. For those of you that speak Spanish, so maybe that's the thing. Just drop from time to time something in Spanish, and and everybody's happy. Binotto, no, I didn't have the time to watch the second, probably this night. Do you use a tablet pen display? Gracias. Well, Binotto, good luck with the episode. I hope that you like it. And G-Zone, I use a normal tablet. No display, fancy display like a Cintiq or stuff like that. Just like a regular tablet. Back in the day, I tried several times the Cintiq, and I didn't like it. Plus, it has I mean, of course, this is a extremely personal opinion, but for me, I feel that it's not a good choice for me, since I spend so much time painting and drawing. So at the end, the ergonomic of being just hanging over it, leaning towards it, I don't think it would be a good thing. At least with the tablet, I can be sitting straight. Yeah. And that's something really to take in consideration when you spend as long as I do painting every single day, like so many hours every single day. So yeah, something that I really need to take into account. Mm-mm-mm. By the way, it's been a long time since we haven't talked or recommended any books or films. I just started, well, I'm on the middle of it, but I started this classic science fiction novel that I knew from a very long time, but it's one of those things that just happened that don't get the chance. You know, the time passes and it just at the end it passes years and it's something that you want to do, but you don't find the time or circumstances that push you to take another book instead, etc., etc. But it was one on my radar and one that I really, really, really wanted to dive into. And finally, I did, and oh my goodness, so good. And it's and not surprising because it's from the same author of one of my absolute favorite science fiction novels of all time, which is 2001 Space Odyssey. So H.C. Clarke, yeah. So I think the original title is like Meeting with Rama. I think it is. I'm reading it in French because I couldn't find a copy in English or in in Spanish. So since I know French, then I decided, okay, fuck it, I just go with French. But yeah, my goodness, it's so good. Has any of you read this book? It's, oh my goodness, so good. And I think I have mentioned this before in another stream a very long time ago, talking about these topics. But really, what's really, really, really catch my attention, like it completely absorbed me in any sort of story, is when you mix like mystery, a journey into the unknown, and a big mystery that it's kind of triggering that journey, something to discover. And this is it to the. I mean, it's the perfect example of this, and I love it. And I can understand why it is such a classic of science fiction. It's and how many other authors have been taking ideas and been inspired by this story. It's so obvious once you start reading it, like how influential it has been to trigger other authors' ideas. For example, the series of The Expanse. Andrea, amazing. I can't wait for the third. Good, good. G-Zone, that's really cool. Well, okay, sorry. Since I'm so behind on the chat, that's normally how I tend. I tried my best to be to read fast the chat, but it tend to happen that I start in a ramble and yeah, I get back to what you guys are writing like pretty late. So sorry. Mortis Champion. Hey Miguel, how are you? It's been a while since I joined the stream. Yes, man, welcome. Long time indeed. How are you doing? Welcome. how is life treating you? Eric Tran, what is the best source of references for faces? Do you download packs or just search Google? Or do you shoot your own? Well, I tried to build my own library. So it's a mix of shooting myself and oh my goodness, that scared the shit out of me. Illustrator, comic artist, thanks for the subscription. No need to guess what you do for a living with that name. welcome to the stream. How are you doing? So yeah, I actively create my own library, as I do with all my references. So I rarely just go on Google and just like cool faces. No, I'm actively doing like from time to time some research and every time I find something that I think it's okay, this could be on point, and this is not just for faces but for anything, then I just go and try to make a photo or save an image or make a screenshot or something of that kind. But when I'm in need of references, unless it's something very, very specific that I don't have, I normally go to my library of references instead of just going into Google, just like that. Going back to this, the subject of meeting with Rama. Oh, I mean, if you are a real fan of science fiction literature, it is an absolute must. I cannot understand why I waited so long to go for it. And I actually have heard that they are gonna do some film adaptation of the novel by Villeneuve. So I think, and I think he, after seeing the Arrival, I think he, aside from the other very cool films, of course, but I mean the Arrival, I think it's. I might be mistaken, but I think it's an obvious example of being inspired by this book. In some aspects, of course. And a good proof of how inspiring I feel when reading this type of novels is that I get such a creative kick that I feel instantly the need of making some illustration of the book, kind of to illustrate some of the scenes that happen on the book, which are just insanely cool. When, for instance, for all of you that are fans and lovers of the Warhammer 40,000 universe, you know, when there are so many motifs on 40k about about the scale of things and how gigantic things are. This novel, Meeting with Rama, is the ultimate. How do you say a fest of this concept of gigantic structures and how you know, overwhelming they are. And but on this subject, oh well. Wait a second. Let me just catch up with the with the chat. um, Mortas, I'm doing pretty good. I'm visiting my mother's village this week for vacation. Oh, fantastic! So jealous on vacation. Illustrator, comic artist, great work. Keep it up. Thanks, much appreciated. And as I said before, welcome to the stream. Binotto, do you only paint on one canvas and with big shapes like that without a building line? In in digital, yes. If I would be like doing a real, let's say, oil painting or something, no, I would have to do have some sort of base before. But the beauty, one of the things that I enjoy the most out of digital painting is precisely this ability that this new medium brings, of that you can be so dynamic and work in such an organic way, right? Without caring too much if you make a big mistake. So yeah, it allows me to be that to paint in such a bold way, if one could say it. Yeah, I don't know how to describe it. Like, Eric Tran, thanks for answering my question. Love the work. Well, my pleasure. John the Painter Fine Art. I love that the last two videos you put out, by the way. My work has already improved greatly now that I understand more of the ways you do it in terms of the Space Marines. Well, that's, that makes me very happy to hear. Again, I think I have mentioned many times the reason why I decided to make this tutorial in the first place was precisely my own understanding on how much I struggle myself with Space Marines, right? That I really, it's so easy to make mistakes. And also the realization that there are so much people that are struggling immensely when doing fan art for Space Marines. So yeah, I decided, let's do something to help out, and so if it's doing that, then I'm a happy camper. Oleg, hey man, I truly believe that your Patreon endeavor will be a great success. Keep the good work. Well, that's thanks, thank you, thank you. I really hope that you are right. I really do. And by the way, thanks to Oleg. Then let's just remind all of you that, in case you don't know, I have a Patreon, which is mainly focused for the creation of a new personal project of mine that turns around the theme of space pirates. It is a very dark and grim, gritty universe. And so I will be creating it now, and hopefully with the support of people, then I can the speed at which I can work with it will increase, and I will be able to publish a book about it. So yeah, please check it up. Hey Lota. We have a visitor. Okay. The Mighty Duck. Oh, yum, yum, yum. Loving this. Happy to hear. Welcome. So yeah, what I was talking about the meeting with Rama novel, and is that when I stumble upon these pieces of literature, it is such a, how could I describe it? Like such an enjoyable activity, in the sense that it's just like pure what kind of symbol could I be? Like, it's pure fuel for my creativity, right? It just immediately it makes my imagination fly and start wondering how things could look and trigger so many ideas and yeah, it is quite a nice feeling of being inspired by somebody else's work. I absolutely love it. And yeah, one of the greatest sources of inspiration for me, it's always been literature. And just by the fact of going back to this author, Arthur Clarke, I just kind of made me think if I want to read again 2001 Space Odyssey, because it's been like perhaps 20 years or even more since I read it. I think even more. And it's so good as well. I mean the film, regardless of how good it is, but it doesn't make justice to the book, in my humble opinion, not at all. And regardless of how big fan I am of Kubrick, um, I'm a big huge fan of his, but I think, and even if the film, as I'm saying, it's very good as it is, I think visually it's obviously it has aged a little bit too much. Even though it still stand its ground, but for my own taste, I think it has aged a little bit on the aesthetics of things. Um, so it looks a little bit old, and that's always something that I feel is going to be an issue with science fiction films, right? Um, Maybe not so much nowadays when they can do so many uh, great things visually, but at that time, you can clearly see that, yeah, the aesthetics of the time where it's made, and yeah. So now instead of looking some like a proper science fiction and of course it's supposed to happen in 2001, right? uh, but it feels like a little bit old when it should actually look very science fiction, and the novel really makes you feel like that. And again, is this realization of the classics are classics for a reason, and it's so obvious when you go through them. And makes you appreciate them way more when you compare with the junk that we normally are accustomed by. John the Painter, your method and tips I also noticed can be applied to other characters as well. I have even applied these to designing cowboy characters, all medieval knights, etc. Yeah. I agree. I mean, that's one of the things that I mentioned right on the first episode. That, I mean, it's focused on space marines, but it's definitely should be applied to any creative endeavor as an illustrator, and it's to know the theme that you are trying to illustrate, right? To be faithful to the material that you are supposed to be illustrating. So yeah, happy to hear. Thanks for sharing. I really appreciate that. And talking about classics in literature and junk, uh, is any of you looking forward for the Rings of Power series, or not, or any thoughts about it? I I mean, I'm sure visually is gonna be incredible. I think the mood and all these type of things is gonna be the costume design is gonna be like delightful, but the core thing is just that I cannot. I mean, being myself a fan of Tolkien work since I was a kid. I think I have read at least twice every single book of his. If I think so, yeah. And if not more, but I think it's just that. Anyway, regardless, it doesn't matter. uh, I cannot give a fuck about the series. I think it's so. It just they don't care about the legacy of Tolkien and his work. They are just using it, obviously, but in a very disrespectful way, in my opinion, to cash in into the famous milkable IP now of the Lord of the Rings. And it's very frustrating in some way. I mean, if they just want to do whatever they want and not be respectful of his work, why don't they just do their own? And they could perfectly say, yeah, inspired by, or something like that. But no, of course they need to have the Lord of the Rings name on it. And but at the same time, just kind of shitting on Tolkien vision and work. And I'm talking about this in terms also on the subject of what we were mentioning about being respectful as illustrators to the original material that you are supposed to be illustrating. So it's a little bit the same thing in this case, adapting a novel into another medium, but I think it should have the same treatment. Of course, it's artist. You can have artistic licenses and stuff like that, but what they are doing, or what it seems like that they are doing with Rings of Power, is just like, I think it's a crime, in my humble opinion. Mortis Champion. One thing I wanted to ask you, Miguel, is did you get into Six More Vodka, or you just collaborated for some of the Genesis artwork? No, I just did a collaboration only. Yeah, and extremely grateful that they gave me the opportunity to jump in on it. So I felt very flattered and honored to be able to make such a tiny contribution, but still, regardless. So yeah, so it was just a collaboration. But no, I haven't worked on the studio as such. Lucia Finstra, good evening. Good evening and welcome. How are you doing? John the Painter, me and a friend are working on a graphic novel that is a fantasy western with cowboys and werewolves. Wow. Wow. What a mix. Sounds very interesting. We are going for a painterly John Singer Sargent look. Whew. Wow, but that sounds very interesting. Are you starting, or have you been working with it for a while? How? Yeah, I'm very interested. Sounds a pretty cool idea. On its craziness. Mortis Champion. I won't be watching Rings of Power. Yeah, same. Yeah, unless I stumble upon just by chance. But I'm not gonna seek watching it at all. Lucia Finstra, goodness no, Rings of Power is not Tolkien. Yeah, exactly. Yes, yeah. I'm happy that we are on the same boat. At least you and I, Lucia, well, and Mortas. Yeah, it is definitely not Tolkien. I think it's again, it's so, especially when you are, when we are talking about such a classic of literature, right? It's like if they take a Tolstoy War and Peace and they completely butchered because we need to make it something. It's like they wouldn't dare to do that. But since Lord of the Rings, I mean, and their nerdy has become such a valuable market for these type of entertainment corporations, well, let's milk this into something and be completely disrespectful for Tolkien's work. I think it's just it is so bad. So yeah, no, no way. And so disappointing at the same time, right? It's just like that's another thing that a lot of people tend to fall to fall into this problem. Is like, okay, so you have a major universe and setting, and it's created by a genius, right? So why do you want to get into um, expanding that universe in that way on the great scale of things, like with the main characters that are supposed to be driving the whole narrative for this universe and everything? At the very least, why make the story of a farmer or something within this context? And I mean, if you are a good storyteller, you can make something compelling, but you don't need to be making a story with Galadriel and just start to mix up things and mix stuff. I mean, it just, I don't know. Yeah, it's very frustrating. and so obvious that it's just a money grab. And again, another aspect that makes me very frustrated as a professional of the industry is um, knowing how much passion the people that might be or have worked on it have put into it, like visual artists, right? Concept artists, art directors, photography, like prop artists, etc., etc. And all of that talent and love and passion is wasted because at the end the core of the project is rotten, right? So it's just like such a waste uh, of talent. And yeah, I mean, a little bit like on of course, since I haven't seen it and I'm not gonna see it for now, but it's the same kind of um, feeling I got when watching the Hobbit trilogy, right? Which I think is another crime against humanity. Is so bad, and another shit on Tolkien's work. It's just like I mean, to me, the formula to, unless you want to do a real adaptation of one specific book or piece of literature, right? Like the previous Peter Jackson, Lord of the Rings. And then you are faithful and you don't make up stuff. You just like stick to what it is, and you might make an adaptation. Of course, it's not going to be 100% the same, but still you are faithful to the original material. Fine. But as I was saying, you can do, there's another alternative, and it's okay, let's make a story within this context and background, but that doesn't involve the main characters and the main narrative that drives the whole thing. A little bit like they did with this now old video game, The Shadow of Mordor, which it's about nameless characters, right? So it's what happened on the video game doesn't affect the vision and narrative of the whole universe, as far as I remember. So it is a safe way to use the legacy of an author, in my opinion. Mortal Champion, yeah, visually it may be awesome, but I still don't know about the plot. Exactly, it is not Tolkien. Yeah. Luthia, yes, exactly. They are using his name to sell a shiny product devoid of substance. Well, I think it's even worse than that. It's not just devoid of substance. It's just parody and not yeah, and I mean, I think we could take this discussion even on an ethical level, right? Is it ethical to kind of bastardize the brilliant work of an artist in that way, right? And I think it shouldn't be the case. Andrea, I read that the Beta Workshop and Joe Hove are on the development, so I'm very curious to see what they will come up with. Yeah, I mean, again, visually it's gonna be. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be amazing, and of course, having John Hove in it, yeah, what can I say? But again, such a waste. Such a waste. I mean, just remember the care in which they took the endeavor of doing the first Lord of the Ring adaptation, the Peter Jackson adaptation. They were so meticulous and trying to be so respectful, and I loved it. Still is an adaptation. It's still it has its flaws, but still is a very genuine attempt to make justice to the books. But not this. Not this, in my humble opinion. Richard, hey man, how such a long time? How are you doing? Welcome to the stream. Welcome back. Rings of Power is going to be the ultimate garbage. The question is how is going to be the Willow series. Oh my goodness. Willow, yes, I saw. Well, I mean, I just saw a trailer some time ago, and I haven't seen more, so I'm not sure. But at least they are not dealing with a piece, a masterpiece, as Lord of the Rings is, right? I mean, I still don't get me wrong, I loved Willow when I was a kid. I'm not sure how much well it might have aged. I haven't seen it in a long time. but yeah, it is. I think I get I get where you are going, but I think it's not the same, right? It's on the thing with the thing with the rings of power is of such a level of crime that yeah, but um yeah, so I love the original Willow movie from the 88, but I'm a bit suspicious about the upcoming show. Again, I mean, who knows? I think the advantage that they have is that they they can be creative, right? They don't have to follow. They don't have a full mythology to follow and to respect. So they can just go all nuts. Uh, and the impression that I got from the trailer is that they are is not like a remake. There is just like they are doing a sequel, right? It's like after the events of the original film. It could be very nice, which I don't know if it's been confirmed or not. If Mardigan will be. Val Kilmer is back on the roll or not. But yeah, man, I love that film. When I saw it on the when I was a kid on the cinema. Can you hear the snoring? Yeah, probably not. But yeah, I have here the mastiff next to me, Lotta. She's called. Is snoring next to me. John the Painter. I have been doing research and concept art for a couple of years. I'm still waiting for more information about the plot right now and him giving me character info. I'm having the best time. I can imagine. It's doing a project of that kind. Yeah, it's yeah, super super fun. I bet. Uh, Originally, we wanted to. He wanted me to oil paint the panels. Yeah, that's quite a big, big thing to do. I started everything on paper and made the switch to digital last year after I got the new Wacom One tablet, and now I have an iPad with Procreate. I'm not a pro by any means, and it's a learning process for me. Well, that's even better. If I think it's can be at the same time. I'm guessing, perhaps I'm mistaken, but quite a frustrating process to certain degree, right? But at the same time, very enjoyable in a double sense because learning at the same time that you are doing it. So pretty cool, man. Mortal Champion, I feel you, Miguel. You can have something that is visually stunning, but if the story is bad, it doesn't matter. Yeah, exactly. And again, it's just it devaluates the craft involved in it, sadly. And I mean, since being a professional myself, I think it's very frustrating because at the end of the day, like you very well say, it doesn't matter how stunning something might be. In this case, a film, if or a series, if the plot, the storytelling at the end of the day is just bad, doesn't matter how stunning it is. It is a bad film. The same with a video game. It can be stunning, but if it's just boring as hell and yeah, or broken or whatever, then doesn't matter how talented art team you have, it's just a bad game. And then it's such a waste of talent on the visuals and art department. And which also makes me think another aspect to make me frustrated. Just talk about frustration, but it's the fact that, like, okay, so to me, that's how I see it. That means that the professionalism and craftsmanship of visual artists in general on the industry is on such high level, right? That you kind of take for granted that, okay, visually it's going to be stunning. But if we artists are put to such high level of expectation, how is it possible that these other roles that are even more vital and crucial for the success of these projects are not put or dealt with the same rigorous and level of expectation? I mean, to me, it's ridiculous that they can do the same thing with the I mean, it's the same kind of thing with, let's say, the Star Wars franchise, right? With the latest trilogy and everything, it's just like, it's such absolute garbage and still stunning visually, but it's just like, what's the point? So it's and when the scripts are so important, it's like, how is it possible that they can get away with it in the industry and allowed to do such garbage when on the visual department it wouldn't be allowed. It was, this is just crap, you know, you cannot work anymore. But no, they keep doing crap. So yeah, it's very frustrating and interesting, equally interesting how that gets to happen. Yeah, I don't know. John the Painter, I just wish I did better in environmental concepts. Well, just practice, man. Is we are never happy. I'm the same. But yeah, I don't know what to say. We cannot be the best at everything. We can aspire, but I guess on this project you will learn and improve quite a lot. Richard, agree with the Hobbit. It was very unfortunate trilogy. Well, that's, you are being very polite and Richard. I think just to call it unfortunate is just to be very too kind. I think it's just an absolute crime. The the only part that I actually enjoyed and thought it was quite okay was the first part of the first film. That was quite alright. But after that, it was like a descent into the abysm. With each minute, it was like digging deeper into the shithole, and just ended up in this, like, I don't know how to call it, like crap fest that was the last film and the last scenes, and it just like so ridiculous, and it's I have a friend, another concept artist, a very experienced concept artist, and I can't remember exactly which of the three it was. We went to sit together with other friends, and he just left the theater. He just couldn't stand it. He just like, yeah, I'm out of here. I don't want to waste my time anymore. Just like so bad. Andrea, I don't know. I read everything Tolkien wrote, and I'm super curious to see this new project. I guess that Tolkien shouldn't sell his work right. Right. Well, well, I mean, fair enough. Of course, if it's everybody's just free to feel interested, or it's just like I know I'm gonna be very disappointed, and I don't want to reward like that type of unethical behavior, if that makes sense. But please let's share. Please do share your thoughts when you start seeing it. And I think in terms of the rights, it wasn't him who sold it, but just the foundation, or the his heirs. And I think there is also controversy into that, because exactly about the rights that they bought is not what they are supposed or trying to advertise that the series is about. So they only, as far as I understand, they have the rights for the Hobbits and the Lord of the Ring books and the appendixes of the Lord of the Rings. That's about it. They don't have the rights for the Silmarillion. So yeah, that's a big issue there. Just right there. Lucia, my negative opinion on the Rings of Power is of a much greater scale, but I'm just being very subtle with my expressions here. Well, I mean, don't strain yourself. Just um, um, please do share your whole opinion on the matter, because I mean, I think we have talked about this during the other streams, but another thing that really bothers me is the kind of and I know it's a very controversial topic, and yeah, but this thing with diversity and stuff like that, and within the context of an adaptation of somebody's work, right? So, as I have explained plenty of times already, I'm a huge advocate for having diversity in projects, right? In the video games, in film series, etc. I'm a huge advocate for it, and I myself professionally, I've been pushing it quite a lot. When I have been able to, and even got into trouble sometimes because doing this, challenging directors and stuff like that just to be more diverse. But you need to do this in a clever way, right? I mean, there are plenty of arguments in favor for having diversity in this type of fiction works, right? Because, well, at the end of the day, now we are in a global society, right? So it's not good just to I mean, to give the opportunity to every single type of person just to be easy to relate to the characters and etc. etc. I mean, I'm not gonna go into in length about this, but if once again you are doing an adaptation of somebody else's work, or you are doing like in the same context as we've been talking on the stream before, or if you are doing some historical type of project, and the main and one of the main pillars of that project is to be historically correct and accurate, I think it's insanity to try to push this type of diversity thing, because it's just you just break the magic of that said world or historical setting. It doesn't work. It kind of defies the purpose in the first place of making an historical accurate project. Like can't remember the title, is on Netflix. This one about the Scottish Queen in times of Elizabeth on the 16th century, and you have plenty of black people around, and it's just like, and apart from that, everything is super like trying to be accurate, and everything is just like, well, to me, I mean, of course, it's artistic licenses, and you can do whatever you please, fine. But if you do that, at least me, you are just breaking for me the fiction, right? It's just, to me, it's just, I don't believe the story, because you are taking me out of the context, because I don't buy it, because I know that this couldn't be the case. And the same thing with on the subject that we are about here with Tolkien work. It's like, yeah, but who cares if there are elves of different color skins? It's not such a big deal. It's just a fiction work. It's like, sure, I mean, on the great scale of things, it's not a big issue. But again, from an ethical point of view of respecting the original work of an artist and a genius, is like, well, then don't do that. I mean, don't do that. It's something that you shouldn't you shouldn't do. Like as we have explained plenty of times, if they try to do a film about, let's say, I don't know, some Chinese mythology film or series, and they start to put Chinese gods and heroes with Caucasian and blacks and Mexican or whatever. It's just like it can completely breaks the fantasy. It doesn't work anymore. So yeah. Once again, I'm a huge advocate for diversity, but it needs to be done in the proper way and in the type of projects that allowed it to be. So I'm completely fine with changing the sex or race of characters from certain novels if it doesn't play. It's not a big issue, right? It doesn't make change the fundamentals of what makes that work what it is. But in the case of Tolkien, it is a big issue, and it's because then it is not Tolkien fantasy anymore. It's a pastiche of other things. I don't know. The same thing as for instance this other TV series that I mentioned a while back that it was also so frustrating. This one about the War of Troy on Netflix. That I don't know. I'm not sure if it was the BBC or something. Like very high budget type of TV series. But then you have the same issue. Just like you have what's how you call it in English, Achilles or Zeus, and they are black, and it's just like I'm sure. I mean, do it, but it's just for me. It just ruined the whole thing because it's not the Greek world and mythology anymore. Is once again is a pastiche of something that is so so stupid, so stupid. Lucia, strong opinions. This only reinforces my decision to follow this channel. Well, thank you. Happy you like it that way. Lucia, by the way, are you selling a pack with your basic Photoshop paintbrushes on Gumroad or anything else? No, I'm sorry, but no, I don't. If anything close to that, I started a series of tutorials where I only did the first episode and the rest is waiting the time to be released, but about how to make your own brushes. So it is available here on my YouTube channel if you're interested, but no, I don't have any brushes available. And on that note, this same brush that I'm using now all the time is this is the results of making the tutorial of how to make your own brushes. So if you see that tutorial, you will see exactly how I did this precise brush that I'm painting right now with. Andrea, yeah, I'm joking. I totally understand your point of view since I really, really love the books. I don't really have an opinion on Rings of Power. Maybe it's gonna be the next Game of Thrones. I think the biggest issue is in the name. They probably shouldn't use the name of the Lord of the Rings. Well, I mean, of course, it's. I mean, we shouldn't. I mean, maybe it becomes like a masterpiece of storytelling out of itself. That could be a possibility. We don't know until we see it. So I give that a benefit of the doubt for sure. But at least, yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna go far into it, but that is not the issue. But it's about how, yeah, not being faithful to the original material in that sense. Just to kind of bastardize the original work. And I mean, and it's totally fine if you were not joking, by the way, about being curious. I'm not gonna say anything bad about anybody that wants to watch it at all. And probably, I mean, again, no idea, but probably is enjoyable, and it's you can have quite fun watching it. But it's just, I mean, loving the work of Tolkien as much as I do, and having grown up with it, it's just I don't like it. And of course, I mean, if it wasn't clear by now, everything that I'm saying, I just put it. I mean, you need to put it on the right context, and is that I'm completely. I mean, these are very strong personal opinions, but at the same time, I understand that. I mean, they are free to do whatever they want, and I'm not. I'm nobody just to say what they should or should not be doing, but at least I can have my opinion, and yeah. I just and again, and sorry if I keep repeating myself, but one thing that really kind of bothers me is the I feel bad for the a lot of people with huge talent that work in this type of projects, and I feel bad for them because they put so much passion and so much work, and it's an incredible work that they do, and it's just wasted for nothing, and they share the bad reputation of a project of that kind, even though they don't deserve it. And I certainly know that I would be very sad, and if I was caught in that kind of situation, right? Uh, Working on a project that I let's say, I mean, I could have perfectly been involved in that project, right? And been such a huge fan of Tolkien and everything. So probably my relation with the project would be very limited, and I wouldn't have the grand scope of what is going on, right? So I would be just focusing on character designs, of costume design and stuff like that. I would have put my soul into it in creating the best possible outcome. And then if the project end up being what it seems that it's going to be, and it's like I myself I would be so disappointed and so, yeah. And also there is this other angle to this discussion, and it's about why is it that we always have to go to things that have already been done? Why is it such a lack of creativity in the industry to create new things? And of course, I understand the rationale behind it to explain it, because it's damn hard. Uh, it is very, very, very hard thing to do. The act of creation is just insanely hard to do, and we take it for granted in this uh, society of consumerism, right? Where we need to get new stuff all the time, constantly, and we take it for granted. But the sheer act of creation is just so difficult and challenging, and not even that, but create something actually brilliant. It's of course even harder. So yeah, that's how, as I see it, that's the explanation, right? And that's how it's so fantastic feeling to stumble upon like genuine new things, and even though you can see like clear influences in other works or stuff like that, but it doesn't matter. It's still an original work. I think it's so refreshing, and and this day and age is one of the things that I enjoy the most. Is something that feels fresh and genuine. And again, it can clearly take things from other places, inspirations, and but I'm fine with that, as far as it is something new and genuine. And I, again, going back to the subject of this novel that I'm going through now, the meeting with Rama, it's just like, well, it's not new. It's quite an old novel, but still, it's just like, oh, damn, it's so good. It's so good, and it's not a Star Wars thing. It doesn't need to be. uh, and yeah, so Bruno, thanks for the subscription. Thank you. Much appreciated. Lucia, well, no problem. Um, and about the sequelitis and Raymanginitis, producers are too afraid to bet on new ideas because AAA movies require tremendously overblown budgets. So it's easier to step on the shoulders of giants, even if you end up breaking said shoulders with bad storytelling. They rely on past fames and brand recognition instead of gambling on a potentially brilliant new idea, which, however, might not sell. Yeah, perfectly said. Yes, that's you nailed it. That's it. I wouldn't be able to say it better than you, Lucia. Yeah, that's it. And to a certain degree, I mean, it's completely understandable. At the end of the day, like you are saying, they invest huge amount of money, right, in the budget of these projects. So to a certain degree, it's understandable. But yeah, it's but it's not good either. I don't know. I haven't seen the latest Matrix film. Talking about these things about remakes and sequels and pre-sequels and etc. etc. I heard that it was pretty bad, but yeah. Have any of you seen it, and what were your thoughts? I mean, that's another example for me of the first Matrix film. To me, was just like one of those rare occasions where I have been to the cinema and was an absolute spectacle of visual and storytelling for me. I One of the best experiences I have ever had on the cinema was with The Matrix. Like, yeah. So I have it in a very special place in my heart. But so putting that into context, so being such a huge fan of the original film, and that I mean, I could say that it completely marked me being a teen, like a young man, in such a way that when this remake, well, not remake, but sequel or whatever has been done, it's just like, well, maybe it's glorious, I don't know, and I'm also like super busy, so I don't have as much time as I used to have now, especially with a kid and everything. So I think it was also bad timing, so I didn't have the chance to go. But at the same time, was like I didn't make an effort either to go and see it because it's just like probably is gonna suck. Um, and but again, I mean, it depends, right? Because there are plenty of also other examples of sequels and prequels that are absolutely brilliant. So it's not always a bad move, right? It doesn't necessarily it is a bad thing. It's just that it needs to live to the expectations left by the original work, and that of course is not an easy thing to do. But I mean, I'm just thinking in terms of, okay, like brilliant examples of sequels or prequels, or like, let's say, Terminator 2, right? Aliens as well, even though it's a pretty different type of film from the first one, but yeah. What else that I can think of right now out of my head? Mad Max, Road of Fury. I don't know. I think it's a masterpiece. I don't know. I think, again, it's not a given that every single sequel and stuff is gonna be very bad, but they tend to be. Or I don't know. I mean, what are your thoughts? Gathering Wolves. Hey, such a long time. How are you doing? It's so bad. The first Matrix was perfection, innovative storytelling. Yeah, all right. So it was bad, like that bad. I mean, at some point, I will have to watch it because I'm curious. But yeah, I heard that it was bad. But at the same time, my intuition tells me that it is gonna be the case, but there has been so many other times I heard like, yeah, certain film is, I think it's very bad, and then it's just like, I think it's a masterpiece. Lucia, oh boy, Matrix 4 is painfully bad. Okay. We don't have here Lucius. I don't know if he's around, but I don't think so. But is it bad as the Space Marine film, if you have seen it? At times I thought that the Wachowski sisters was actively trolling the movie, making Hollywood culture. All right. Now it's I'm even more curious. Gathering Wolves. I haven't seen that one. I heard Mad Max was pretty awesome. Jason, thanks for the subscription. Thank you, much appreciated. Yeah, I mean, Mad Max Fury Road is, in my opinion, it's an absolute masterpiece. It is just what it is. It's an action film, and it's very straightforward and simple in that regard, but it's an absolute masterpiece, and in so many levels. But for example, one of the aspects that I enjoyed so much as a professional, I just watching it, just like, oh my goodness, this is so good, was the character design and costume design. It was just insanely good. Let's see. Where am I on the chat? Sorry. Cantarian. Yeah, the new Matrix film was meh by my book. Kind of felt it was a story that didn't need to get told. All right. So a more sober opinion there. But I think I get where you are, what you guys are getting into. It's like, again, they decided to do this a film just for the sake of selling tickets, but not because it was needed, right? It was kind of forced. Have you seen the Animatrix shorts? Those were awesome. Those, for example, were great examples of storytelling within a context, right? And then and the world, but they are yeah, they expand the vision of that world and universe, but in a very nice way. Lucia, Mad Max Fury Road was quite good. Yes, Lucia, yeah. Gathering Wolves, is the new Mad Max movie a reboot or prequel or sequel? I think it's just a sequel. It's they don't put it like in a. It's just like a independent story of the character in that world. You know, it's like as many stories there is of Conan the Barbarian, like an adventure of the character. So that's what it is. But the cool thing is that, ironically, at the end, the main story and the main character is not Mad Max, but it's the role played by Charlize Theron, the Imperator Furiosa, and it's pretty cool. It's such a nice twist and so refreshing, and such a cool character is that kind of makes Max quite boring as a character, to be honest. And even though the character it's played fantastically on the film, but Imperator Furiosa, she is just absolutely awesome. Is and just the name, it's so badass. I mean, I'm not gonna. It's not a spoiler, all right. But for those of you that have seen it, one of the characters that I enjoy the most were the badass old ladies, the bandit old ladies. Oh my goodness, so good. I mean, it's one of those things where if they tell you like on paper, it's like, yeah, nah, that's never gonna work within that kind of Hollywood type of thing, right? And ironically, that's a Hollywood film, so they managed to pull it off, and they believed on the vision. But but yeah, it's just like it has been when I saw that film, it was a very, very long time since I haven't seen such a huge amount of badass characters in a whole film or story. But yeah, going back to the original topic about the rings of power. Yeah, let's see what happens. Maybe, yeah, who knows? Maybe we are surprised and it becomes like an absolute masterpiece of storytelling, despite the crime that they are committing to Tolkien's work. That being said, I mean, on this whole topic of series and adaptations, and a series that I'm very curious and I would love to see, but I don't have the streaming platform where it is. I think it's Apple. I think it's the Foundation TV series. I The work that I have seen, design work for it is just absolutely mind blowing. It's so it's like one of some of the best I have seen in years, and very curious about the adaptation of the books. I have read, I think, most of them, or a big part of them. So the premise is one that I really like. Um, and I have heard very, very good things about that series. Um, so that's one that I'm genuinely interested in watching eventually. We'll see when I would have the opportunity, but yeah, but not the Rings of Power, I'm afraid. With the Animatrix had some gems. Yes, yes, yes. Um, of course, not all of them were uh, great, but overall they were all good, and and some of them were absolutely brilliant. All right. That being said, I think it's time for me to go to bed. Plenty of things to do tomorrow. A lot of have to work on a lot of very cool stuff, but I need to be on my best. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it here for today. Once again, fantastic evening with you. Very happy to see a lot of new people joining the stream. Thanks for joining and most importantly saying hello. So yeah, stay tuned for next episode of How to Paint and Draw Space Marines that will drop, if everything goes according to plan, this Friday. And see you next Tuesday at the same time. All right. Have fun, stay safe, stay healthy, and draw and paint a lot. And see you next stream. All right. Take care. Bye bye.